s1mple's return to Counter-Strike and debut for Faze was a highly anticipated one, and it started off looking quite good here. As Liquid go for this mid to A split, they get a 3v2 post-plant. s1mple and s1mple move in quickly though, and disturb Nerds trying to plant the bomb. Now you see here, s1mple tucks into this corner and gets in a nice little crossfire with s1mple. He gets the contact on s1mple, which makes Nerds swing, thinking he can get a trade, but the dual Berettas are much better at this range, and s1mple's angle is way too tight to play with him. And simply, it's probably a mistake from Nerds, considering he had Naf here watching the cross for him, so no one could push and they knew the position of both the Faze members. Now, from this position, I want you to notice how s1mple plays this out. He's jiggling to the left, trying to hold this left swing, but he also periodically checks this right angle here. And you're probably wondering, well, why is he doing that? He's opening himself up to a potential swing. Well, that's because of Naf's position and how you would play this if you were trying to get the most out of your team. I'd have Naf obviously stuck on this angle fighting s1mple, so the best thing s1mple can do is actually to try and pivot down from across this box and go for a double peek with Naf, who could probably move in here and try and take out s1mple while s1mple's stuck in this corner and unable to help or trade off that. Now, because s1mple's aware of this, he's jiggling this side of the box, which stops s1mple from safely being across, turning it essentially into two 1v1s here. And how's that end up going? Well, it works out quite well. Even though s1mple loses his fight, you can see s1mple connects onto the very low Naf, and then the 1v1 comes out, and a nice shot from s1mple to close it out. And besides that, s1mple's playing a lot of support roles. You can see here, he's the grenade man in this fast mid take from Faze. Get the first kill out here from Frozen before he rotates over to the most likely spot that Liquid might try and hit, which is the B site. And when he rotates over here, you can see that because Faze do such a good job of securing middle, they re-smoke it here. They can just leave a leash by himself, which means s1mple and co are able to move in and retake this B connector area. And that's exactly what they do. They walk up here, deal with the problem. Good Molotov to buy a little bit of time. They get the flashbang to come in from Karrigan, and the retake in this area of the map happens. And this is great proactivity from Faze. The only option that Liquid really have here is the B split through like this. That could be successful. You can see Elige is full chilling here in middle, just spotting all of it. And s1mple is unlikely to get full 4-man hit out the one entrance on A. So it's a really good play from Faze to not just sit on their 5v4, but make sure they have control of some part of the map. Now from here, once they've got control of this, they're able to smoke this one off as well. And s1mple does a good job of rotating into this close corner to have this insane crossfire in B. Honestly, this round was a bit too easy for Faze. The fact that there was no pressure or no attempt to re-clear middle, and there was no pressure on A towards s1mple, net s1mple 3 kills. T side now, again, we see s1mple get 2 kills in the pistol round, but a little bit of a whoopsie in here. He does a nice shot there to avenge Elige before his team pushes up here to pressure the mid to A split, but ultimately end up going mid to B. So I think the pressure here is quite nice. You can see it pulls all of the rotation off here from Liquid. You can see they're forced to leave this B site and deal with this pressure coming through this area of the map, which does allow these two players to eventually just walk onto the B site. However, unfortunately, s1mple makes a bit of a mistake here. You can see he goes for this support flash out back of CT spawn, catches Frozen in the process. Nice adjustment onto s1mple, but ultimately goes down. They do get the free site, but in the end, the 2v3 was not to be on this retake, as s1mple is only able to get 1. I want to move along to Inferno, since that was probably the better game of the two. And you can see going into round 8, s1mple's actually struggling. He's 3-6 right now, and he hasn't had a lot of impact into this game. However, he gets the AWP in his hand for this one, and he's going to start with a whole setup, playing again with the fill-in of s1mple. So you got the most recent member playing with the fill-in. They go for this whole setup, which I think most of you probably have seen by now, and it starts off looking quite good from s1mple. Naf decides he wants to peek this and gets taken out before they evacuate this area of the map. Now, what we just saw was Karrigan going for a peek in middle with his grenade, not seeing anything, and getting caught off guard by how close s1mple was in that little cubby here in middle. And after the 4v4 play, we end up in this situation where s1mple confirms this arch control before going back and just wanting to hold this for his team. Now, s1mple makes a great play here. He pivots off halls and he knows he has to re-clear this. Without arch control, there is no way you can really defend the whole map as Faze. You're boxed in with 2 players in A. You can't push out B because Frozen's pushed off away from Unleash. So s1mple knows he has to re-clear this. He does it fully solo. There was potentially a flash here on Skulls that could have been used to flash him back into this angle. But again, the synergy isn't quite there on this one. You can see Skulls goes for a full solo play, and s1mple's also doing the same. Although I think s1mple's makes more sense because you need control this area of the map to potentially win the game. And s1mple's ends up going quite well. He gets the kill, but because s1mple's seen here, Skulls then gets caught off guard trying to walk into middle. It's a little bit, it's very individual play right now, which I'm not a fan of. But s1mple does do a good job while confirming this one for his team. He continues to hold Arch so they can retake A. Not that that's ideal with Elige getting caught here pushing B, but s1mple does play this quite well. Frozen comes in here and starts to get some frags. You can see he's starting to catch the players towards A again, making his own little play, which he knows he has to. But s1mple is locking down this mid area of the map so that when Frozen does make his play, catching the bomb planner off guard and getting twists in the process, he's able to confirm the position for his team. Notice he is aware of the fact that Nerds could be here. However, because of where the bomb's planted and where Frozen is, it doesn't matter, which is why, while we can see s1mple is aware of this potential Arch lurk, he doesn't spend too much time looking at it. And in the 2v1, he's just jump spotting short because he knows that the play Nerds just made is a round losing play. You can't go that way around where the bomb's planted, and it's an easy cleanup for Frozen. And that kind of felt like the theme of this defensive half, where they were playing together, but it wasn't always tradable or great plays. This one here, you can see again the same setup basically, except for Skulls has changed his position to the back. They dodge the flash, but unfortunately, Faze s1mple misses this shot, which gets Skulls killed because he has to adjust his aim. s1mple resets here and smokes off holes. And at times, I think s1mple could have moved himself around a little bit more. You can see he kind of ends up here quite static. He kind of doesn't really have much help, and because of how Carrigan's playing, I guess he can't really do a lot. But it always felt like Faze were losing members before they could really get into rounds or get nice rotations, or they really struggled to get a pick. You can see even like here, Elise just caught jiggling with the Molotov, and this was just happening a lot. And then you get plays like this, which they've clearly practiced. We won't talk about that, s1mple. Where they have a nice little kind of setup here and boiler for the apartments peak, but it's a solo play from Skulls with a grenade from Carrigan. So you can see they Molotov off that window area before the nade from Carrigan, which is peaked with by Skulls. Nade doesn't hit. Skulls overstays his welcome and gets caught by Naf. You can see the idea of this, that you pressure halls, you make it look like a hall setup, but then you're actually got s1mple here looking for that person, maybe trying to accelerate and catch Carrigan here at short. Now, what ends up happening is Carrigan fully resets, and s1mple doesn't get the memo and just stays here around middle, which lets Twists just walk up boiler and kill him for free. And I think this is kind of what was happening for Faze a lot, because like on this play, like the chances of them killing Skulls and then all accelerating up halls and going for a pop are probably pretty low. So if you want to stay in this mid setup, Carrigan probably should have stayed with s1mple and just gambled that they don't come out halls. But Carrigan leaves, s1mple stays, and they're just not playing together. And they're just giving up individual kills all over the map. And from this point, the round's just over. And Faze were only really able to get to 3 rounds on their defensive half. Now the T side is where things start to come together again for Faze. I think with the fill-in and less practice, a great in-game leader like Carrigan, he's able to control them a little bit better. Now this round in particular I liked, and this is where s1mple really started to get the ball going, and potentially his best round of the series, where you can see they slowly take this apps control, walk themselves up here with s1mple entry fragging, before they use some utility to flash Elige up middle like a madman. I want you to notice the timing on this, because in these mid setups, you as someone on short watching apps, the fact that Elige goes out before s1mple is perfect, because the player looking here, look, he looks away because he gets distracted by middle, which allows s1mple to jump out here, clean up with 2 kills, which he gets very quickly, and then he accelerates confidently and takes out Naf as well. From there, Shui's a little quicker to the site than they thought and takes out Frozen as he's trying to plant the spike. But I like how s1mple's playing this. He's quite an aggressive clutcher. You see he really wants these fights. He's trying to cut off the angles where Shui could have moved to. And he's really just waiting for Carrigan to get here to help him out. The demo looks a little different to in-game, I presume, from that point of view, but Carrigan's able to clean up, and again, s1mple's just confidently swinging here, and he swings with Carrigan to take the short player out and win the clutch that way rather than sticking the plant. So aggressive, which I like from s1mple. And it's this aggression mixed with patience that the best players have, and with the AWP can really be very oppressive and difficult for the defenders to deal with. You can see here he gets himself up onto this jungle line, and Ultimate, trying to retake the angle, gets the free pick for s1mple. Now the trade goes down on Elige, and Skulls tries to trade but can't on towards Naf. s1mple resets here and tries to win the game with Frozen, which I like in this scenario. Now, I think a few mistakes here actually lose Liquid this round in the 3v2. If you look at the minimap, you can see they don't really need to look anywhere at all. Naf has this short angle, Nertz has this, and you got Shui flanking the apps area. However, Naf feels like he wants to smoke off apps and makes a little bit of a mistake here where he flashes and then comes wide to try and smoke, but s1mple's on the angle. And I know some of you will say Naf feels awkward because he has to watch short and apps, but let's say that Faze does walk out apartments like they did. If Naf does go down, you just trust the flank in this scenario. Now after the pick, Faze jump out the apartments, and again a mistake I think for Liquid. Nertz knows there's a missmoke, goes for this kill, which I think is fine, but you've got Shui flanking the apartments here. Look, he's about to kill Frozen, but Nertz decides to swing and try and get himself out of there. I guess he was worried about a nade or something. But it ends up in this 1v1 with s1mple and Shui. And the way s1mple plays this one, I quite like. He knows that there's time where Shui can only come out the apartments, so he gets the bomb to go down, knowing he's probably not going to do that. And then he just positions himself on site. Now, he does unscope here, which means he can't scope back in because he'll give away the position that he moved to. But I like the confidence. Just sit in the corner, hold your gun out, and trust yourself to scope in and hit the shot. He doesn't do that. But again, look at the way he's moving. He wants the fight. He wants to control this. He doesn't want Shui to control this. He wants to be the one swinging and taking that pick, which he does. And he wins a pivotal round for Faze to potentially win this one. Now, one thing you would have noticed is that s1mple has a lot of utility roles on this team. On Ancient, it felt like he was just throwing grenades out of spawn a lot of the rounds. But this is going to be s1mple's last 3k for the series, where he's setting the utility up, and then they're going for this obviously forced buy in the final round with Tech 9s and running up here towards A with this A split. Now s1mple does trade Naf over here in towards the graveyard area before getting himself on site and playing the 2v3 post plant with Elige. And this one just kind of plays out. He's very confident around this arch smoke, which I like it. It's good. It's a very strong smoke to play around. He doesn't want to let anyone through it. He's playing with Elige here, but it very much feels like two players just playing off feeling. They know it's going to be a while before they can retake through short and apartments because they have to clear out the entire arch side since it was a split from Faze. But they play together. They get the kills that they need to, covering the angles they think are open at different times, and it is s1mple's last few kills for this map. Let me know if you think s1mple still lives up to the hype, and please like and subscribe.